Today we'll take a look at the first declension. Okay, and as we saw, conjugation, we conjugate the verbs, we decline the nouns. And now we will see the cases that we did in the introduction. All those cases will be putting into use. So therefore, in a way, you also need to kind of remember what each case meant. So what is the nominative, what is the genitive, what is the dative, accusative and the ablative. So as I said, in Latin we have 5 declensions and they keep on getting tougher and tougher. The first is the simplest one along with the 5th. Then 2nd and 4th are on the similar level, little bit more complex. And the 3rd one is the most complex. So for the first declension, let's take a look at the endings first. Just as for the conjugations, you had kind of learned by memory the endings. For the declensions also, you have to learn these endings by memory. Okay, there is no other escape from this. I'll give you an example with which things will be clear. So let's take the word Regina, which means queen. So in the dictionary, when you will always find the nominative and the genitive singular. For example, if you will open your dictionary and take a look at Regina, you will see Regina, Regine. You can just check, one of you all, go to Regina and it will be written in this way. You have the nominative and the genitive always. Okay? And you should not be confused that it is nominative of singular and plural, because if you notice, the endings of the genitive singular and the nominative plural are the same. So remember this is nominative and genitive singular, and this applies for the nouns of all the declensions. Okay, so this is how you are supposed to read the dictionary. So let's take a look at this. Regina, then you have Regine, Regine, Reginam and Regina. In the plural, regine, reginarum, reginis, reginas, reginis. So one of the ways of remembering this is by just following this simple rule. So what you can do is, once you get the nominative, so generally when you are given something to decline, it will be given to you in the nominative singular. So all you have to do is remove the last alphabet and then substitute with these endings. So let us take one more word. Can I wipe these endings? Or we'll take, let's take for example, Stella, which means star. Okay, Stella Maris, star of the sea. So now following this, okay, I think I will better put it there. This will be more confusing. Okay, so I'll just erase this one. So as I said earlier, what we will do is, we will remove out this last alphabet and just keep the stem. So now what would be the nominative singular? Stella. Genitive singular? Stellae. Dative? Stellae. Then accusative? Stellam. Ablative? Stella. Similarly, plural, you will have nominative, stellae, then stellarum, stellis, dative plural, accusative plural would be stellas, and ablative plural would be stellis. Okay, so now there are few small tricks that you can use to kind of remember this. For example, we see that the nominative singular and the ablative singular, the endings are always the same. Similarly, genitive singular, dative singular and nominative plural will have the same endings. and then you have the dative and the ablative plural, which also have the same endings. Okay, so now you may wonder, if the endings are same in so many cases, how do we differentiate what is what, right? So in that case, we have to look at the whole sentence. Okay, as of now, let us get this correct, then we shall move towards the translation a little bit later. So take down another word. Pecunia, which means money. And okay, so are we ready with the first one, pecunia? So, in the nominative singular, what it would be? Pecunia. Genitive singular, pecuniae. Then in the dative, pecuniae. Then in the accusative singular, pecuniam, and the ablative would be pecunia. Nominative plural, pecuniae. then you have pecuniarum, then you have in the dative then you have pecunias, and you have pecunias. So one of the common mistakes here generally comes with this I. Okay, so we see that the I is maintained. It is just an addition done. So let's quickly take a look at the cases. Okay, so what we said is the nominative. What does the nominative case indicate? The subject, right? So therefore, pecunia here would be the money. Then pecuniae genitive would be of, okay, of the money. Then dative is, what is the English equivalent? To or for, okay. So to or for. Then the accusative is the direct object, okay. So and then finally, by means of, with the money, by the money would be the ablative. Okay, we'll take a look at Stella first, or Vita. So what would be the nominative singular? Vita. Genitive? Vitae. Then dative singular will also be vitae. Accusative would be, and ablative vita. Going to the plural, nominative vitae, genitive with arum, dative vitis, accusative vitas, and ablative would be vitis. Okay, so much is clear with the endings. So let's take, so generally in the first declension we have all feminine nouns. So the gender of these nouns are all feminine. However, as in Latin, there are always exceptions. So which are these exceptional ones which are of the gender masculine in the first declension? So we have nauta, which means sailor. Then you have agricola, which means farmer. You have poeta, which means poet. And you have incola, which means inhabitant. Okay, so quickly solve nauta and poeta, and then we'll explain in a little bit more detail. We'll take a look at the cases, and then we can move towards the translation of the sentences. So how would nauta be declined? Nominative would be nauta, genitive, naute, dative, naute, accusative, nautam, ablative, nauta. Plural, naute in the nominative, genitive, naut arum, dative, nautis, accusative, nautas, and ablative, nautis. So here, when we look at the cases in the nominative, okay, so nauta would be the sailor, in the plural, the sailors. Then genitive would be of the sailor, here of the sailors. Then dative would be to or for the sailor, to or for the sailors in the plural. So accusative, since it is the direct object, a sailor, here would be just sailors. So we can say he spoke to a sailor. And finally ablative, with, by, the sailor. If so much is clear, now we can put into practice what we have learned of the verbs as well as of the noun. So we'll take one sentence. Incole, insularum, Letizia, can, ant. Okay, so let's quickly go to the dictionary and find the meanings. Okay, what is incola? Incola we know is inhabitant. Then insula, insula is island. Then Letizia, joy, and Kanant is sing. Okay, so now we know the meanings of these words. Now we have to try to figure out how to form a sentence. So now let's start with the verb. So here the verb is kanant. So what does the ending of the verb reveal to us? Okay, kanant is which third person? Plural. So what does it mean? They sing. Okay, now let's come to, so we already know now that the subject will be singular or plural? Plural. So the verb and the subject should always correspond. If the verb is plural, noun also should be. So therefore, incole. Now, will it be genitive singular, dative singular, or plural of nominative? Okay, so it would be the inhabitants. Now, Arum. Okay, there is only one, so we know it is. What is the, how would we translate insularum? Of the islands. Then Letizia, okay, is ablative or is it nominative? So nominative is already done, right? You already have the subject. So therefore, Letizia here is in the ablative. Therefore, with joy. So how can we put this sentence together? So the inhabitants of the islands sing with joy. Any doubts still with this? Let's take one more sentence. So, femina coronam regine in villam portat. So now quickly let us go to the dictionary and let us find the meanings. Okay, so what does femina mean? Woman. What is coronam? Crown, not the virus. Then regina, we already know, is queen. Okay, villa is house. And what is portat? Carry. Which conjugation is it? How many is the third? What is the root of this? Would be for tare. Okay. So now let us take a look at. Let us always start with the verb. Okay. So now, looking at portat, what can we identify? Okay, what can we identify looking at portat? It is singular or plural? Singular. So what? How can we translate it as? He, she, it carries. Okay. Then let's now go to the subject. Okay, what is the subject here? Woman. Okay, so it would be singular. Since the verb is singular, noun also has to be singular. So the woman. Now coronam. Okay, what is which case is coronam? Accusative. And what does accusative tell us? It is the direct object. So here the crown. Okay. Then regine. So now we have to figure out, either it can mean genitive singular, it can mean dative singular, or it can mean nominative plural. So the best way to solve the confusion is to start by eliminating. So the woman carries the crown. Okay, either we can say, so obviously nominative is eliminated because it is not the subject. So either it can mean of. Now is it singular? Yes, of the queen. Or we can also say for the queen. Both are accepted. And therefore villam is, what is the case here? Accusative. So now we have to also learn one thing. In here is the preposition. Okay, so now there are two small rules that we need to pick up. So when in, okay, is followed by an accusative, it means into or onto. When in is followed by an ablative, it is translated as in or on. So here it is followed by an accusative, so it would be into the house. So how will we put this sentence together now? Okay, let's put the sentence together. So one of the way also is by just putting it in the same order. Okay, so the woman. Okay, so carries the crown of the queen into the house. Now in Latin we see most of the times the verb always comes at the end. Okay, so now take one example and solve it by yourselves. Aquila in aqua cenam videt. Okay, so let's try to solve this one. Aquila in aqua cenam videt. So, what is Aquila mean? Aquila is eagle. In would be a preposition. Aqua is water. Then cenam and videt. What is the which conjugation first and foremost? Second, videre, and it is singular. Which person? Third person. So now let us take a look at the case. Okay, so we know that videt is third person singular. So how can we translate videt as? Okay, so it would be he, she, it sees. Let's go to the what next shall we look at? The subject. So Aquila is, so how will we translate eagle as? The eagle. Then in aqua. So we said if in is accompanied with an accusative, it means into or onto. If in is accompanied by ablative, it means in or on. So what is in accompanied by here? Ablative. So how will we translate in aqua as? In the water. Chenam is which case? Accusative singular. So this will be sees dinner. Okay. So how will we put the sentence together? The eagle sees dinner in the water. Is it clear? Yes. Okay. So when we take a look at aqua, what are the possibilities of aqua? Ending with A. So it can either be nominative singular, it can be ablative singular. Any other? No. So now we already have the subject, right, in the nominative. So therefore this has to be the ablative and it is accompanied by in. That is another hint. Okay, so that's why it takes in aqua.